LeJean, do y'all want to get started while he's calling?
Yes. I'll start. Well, right now it's kind of cold. I'm out here on the roof in Richmond, about to start my fitness program. But anyway, everyone, my name is LeJean Reese, one of the 3 members of 100 Years. And like India said, we are some cool gentlemen we easy to get along with. I was born and raised in Richmond, California. I'm 51 years old. But in brief, just a little background history of myself. I grew up in Richmond. I grew up in a fast life. I was addicted to the criminal street life for selling drugs, fast money, everything just to the glitz and the glow of the society. My favorite pastime was sports then and still sports now. My first sport was baseball, then football. I had aspirations of being a great football star, well as baseball. But unfortunately, I allowed my life to go left, and I went there, and it took a bad turn. And so, being in a negative street life and addicted to that street life, I ended up catching a murder. Someone got killed by my hands, and I ended up doing it at the age of 17. So I ended up doing 30 years and 10 months of incarceration, age 17 to 48. I was released in 2018. I'm no longer on parole, and so just in brief, no longer on parole. Have established 2 businesses, which is 100 Years Enterprise, what is motivated to help others. And during my time of incarceration, I had to basically rape my mind. I had to really just, what I mean by rape my mind, I had to take all that bad stuff out of my mind, that negative thinking. That what was called destructive characteristics. I had to replace my destructive characteristics with those that were praiseworthy. And I used those praiseworthy characteristics to now build myself up to understand who I was as a boy, to a man, to a grown man, and to a man of understanding. And so in brief, that's why I am today, one of 3 members of 100 Years, striving every day to be a better person, a better human being by the mercy and grace of God. That's who I am.
Thank you. Patrick, you're going to have to mute the other one. But yeah, thank you, LeJean, for sharing that. I think
Patrick, what are you doing?
Which one does he have to mute, y'all?
I'm here. I deleted the other meeting. Okay.
Okay.
With me, Fahim. Be patient, okay? Again, excuse me for the delay. You see, as we are just as silly as you guys. So what I'm saying to you is this. My name is Patrick Scott. I am one of the founders of 100 Years Enterprise. Again, I grew up in Oakland, California. I was an at-risk youth. I was hanging out in the gang activity. I ended up being an aiding and abetting to a 2nd-degree murder with 2 attempts. I didn't directly kill anybody, but I was there and I had a gun and there was a gunfight and somebody ended up dying. And I was arrested for being a participant in the crime and ultimately got a life sentence and ended up doing 30 years of my life in prison. But as I was in prison, right, my criminal thinking started me going down the wrong path. So I had to take several self-help classes, go to college, take entrepreneurship classes, learn and get back to my authentic self. And what I did was when I got out, me, Fahim, and Dante formulated a business called 100 Enterprise. And we do podcasts as well. We do podcasts. We give consultation to at-risk youth, through our website, listen up at 100years.biz. We also mentor as well as go to the juvenile hall. We plan on going to the juvenile halls as well as go to the schools, Greenwood Academy, to, talk to at-risk youth or troubled youth to make sure that they don't go down the path that we once was. So collectively, we do several things, and it's just a pleasure to see myself make the changes that I've made and connect with you guys, in the near future to, give back as we done. We passed out sleeping bags on Martin Luther King Day to people that was homeless. So we do everything that we can to give back and mend by showing that we connect with the communities as well as try to, put a message of not going down the path that we once was. So with that being said, man, it's a pleasure to speak to you guys, man. And I hope that we meet you guys in the near future, man, and collaborate more on things to come.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Patrick.
Well said.
Dante.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on here. My name is Dante Gaines. I'm from Richmond, California. I was born and raised in Richmond. I was an at-risk youth, a troubled youth. I was all of them above. My life spiraled out of control when I was about 13 or 14, when I came in contact with the law for the very first time. And just throughout my life, I've been addicted to criminal behavior, criminal activity from 13 all the way until I went to prison. I did everything. I sold dope, popcorn. If y'all don't know what popcorn means, that means if you got some fake jewelry, you trying to sell the fake jewelry like it's real jewelry. Degraded women, I did it all. But that criminal behavior, that criminal thinking led me into catching a double murder and a double attempted murder at the age of 17. I went to jail at 17 and then prison. That was a very experience for me. I get emotion just even thinking about it, but it made me think, sitting in that prison cell, all the wrong and things that I did destroyed my community, our community, because I had a hand in some of the things that's going on in Richmond, California today. And the reason why I say that, because in 1987, when I called my case, you very seldom hear about anybody getting murdered. So when I called my case in 1987, it seemed like after that, the youngsters just started killing. So I most definitely wants to give back along with Patrick and Fahim, because we helped destroy our community. And I look back at our community now, it's going down. And so if I can do anything to tell a at-risk youngster that, hey, don't do this, do it this way. This is a better way, because if you do it this way, you'll wind up like I did in prison. I received 43 to life in prison. I did 29 and a half years. And what 43 to life mean, if you guys don't know, is that when you take a life, you do life. So technically, we were supposed to come out in a pine box with a toe tag, because that's how things were set up, because we took a life, but by the grace of God, we made it out. And God gave us a calling to do something different. And hopefully we can change our community. But let me just take it back just a little bit further. I wasn't an at-risk youth at first. My passion was racing motorcycles. I could have been the first Black motocross racer back then, but I'm addicted to the street life. They pulled me in, which led me, to do a lot of different things and hurt a lot of different people, which led me into prison. In prison, I got my mind together. I had to learn how to read. I couldn't read when I was on the streets, so it was a process. But I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, you know what, Dante, you have to change. Because if you don't change, you're going to continue to do what you've been doing, hurting people. And probably about 3 or 4 years into my prison sentence, I made a conscious decision to do better. But I had to get myself right before I could do better. And that's what I did. And like I said, it's a pleasure and honor to be able to work with you guys. And hopefully we can do great things. And like Patrick said, we talking to the youth. We about to go into juvenile hall real soon. I just went and did my fingerprints today. So hopefully I'll be able to get approved to go up in there. And we just want to give back and, and make a change and make a difference in our community.
Yeah. Thank you all for sharing. And so I have a couple of questions, and then y'all, whatever questions you have, feel free to ask them. And actually, it's not even questions, it's kind of conversations that we've had and that I felt were important for you all to hear, is that we were talking about the mental health component of all this. Like, if you hear there's a reoccurring trend that this all happened when they were younger. And it just always makes you wonder about, like, what would have happened if somebody had intervened. And I also think about one of the three, I can't remember which one of you has said it, that you were a straight A student, I believe, when you were 17 years old or beforehand. And it's just like, if you had gotten that, congratulations. I can't remember who said it, that it probably would have made a difference. Like, nobody had cared that you did well in school. Was it you, Patrick? Yeah,
I think that was Patrick. Yeah, that was Patrick.
you want to talk about that a bit? How you were saying like nobody gave you credit for doing well in school or acknowledged it. And it's just like, if you would have had those words of affirmation, it could have made a difference in what happened.
Well, what took place for me was that feeling like a nobody, right? Yeah, I was good in school. I was real good in school. But what happened was how I got drawn in is because every time I came home with a good report card or the things I wanted to do from a positive standpoint, I played sports such as football, basketball. I was good at all those things. I was really good at swimming, though, to be honest with you. But everything that I wanted to attend, my mother and my stepdad, right, wasn't in a position to do it because they was on welfare. That's not a bad thing, but they was also alcoholics. So they never really supported me in the things I wanted to do. So with that being said, it didn't mean it became irrelevant. Like, it don't matter if I get an A or F, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I lost interest in school because my parents didn't support me doing the positive things to reinforce that I'm doing a good thing. So I lost the capacity to really participate. So I got drawn into the glam, the glitter of having a nice car, having nice clothes, being popular for all the wrong reasons, right? And I got addicted to that criminal thinking, and that changed my behavior, and that ultimately led to me in prison. You know, so all those things, I was very good at school. I had ambitions to go into college. I had good grades. The teachers loved me. But once I didn't get it reaffirmed through my parents, right? All the elements, that opened the door for elements of people from the streets to reinforce the negative things, right? And that grew in me, and that's how I became led astray.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. Before I ask the next question, does anybody have questions or want to give any comments or thoughts? Oh, go ahead, Nia.
Yes. So first, thank you all so much for sharing your stories and being transparent. I know I appreciate it. And I'm sure I speak for the group. We all appreciate it. And recidivism is very personal to me because I've been, indirectly impacted by it. My older brother was incarcerated twice for the same offense. And so just, trying to get into this kind of work has been one of my goals. But that being said, I just wanted to know or hear from you all, what are some ways that you think the criminal legal system can be reformed?
You said the criminal system?
Yes.
What you said? I believe, right? Personally, I believe that it's going to take a connecting with young adults such as yourself, right? At risk. That's what it is. The difference between troubled youth and at-risk youth is this. A troubled youth is someone that maybe smoke weed, cut school, you know what I mean? Doing nefarious activities that his parents, he or she hasn't came in contact with the law. And her parents, he or she parents doesn't know exactly what the nefarious activities that they're doing. So it's just, a troubled youth, right? Maybe even addicted to drugs, right? That might lead them to start burglarizing or doing things that they know that's wrong, but they're doing it because they got a drug habit, right? At-risk youth is someone that came in contact with law enforcement. Their parents know what they're doing, right? They might have left home. They're at risk because eventually they're going to join the gang. They're going to do all these things, right, to perpetuate those acts. And if you don't get a hold of them, right, someone don't mentor them or somebody that can connect with them instead of talking down to them, talk straight to them, right, and tell them, look, the things that you're faced with, the things that you're facing or dealing with, I've been there, and it's going to lead you to a path that you may not come back because it wasn't promised for us to come back. When I got an A in abetting to a second-degree murder, I didn't kill the person. I was with the people that did it, and I ran. And so when I ran, when the police caught me and arrested me, they charged me with the same thing that the other individuals that's supposed to did them others did. And I ended up doing 26 years, 4 months to life sentence, and the person who was committed the murder was never arrested. So it plays out like that, right? And then I sat in prison for 31 years for that. And I eventually got out. But just by me not having a mentor, right, and having people pull me to the side and get me to look at my cause, that's what they call my cause, of the factor that's causing me to do the things that I'm doing, led me down the wrong path. So I think, believe it or not, I believe that it takes a community. It takes guys like us to come back and support the community and support those and reach out to those young men and women and let them know that it's got to be a better way than what you're doing. So it comes down to basically communicating with those who previously been through that situation.
Yes, most definitely. And I agree with what Patrick just said. It's going to take more of us to do the work and be mentors, because honestly, if I would have had a mentor growing up, my life would have been a lot better. I mean, my mentors was drug dealers, pimps, and players and hustlers. That was my mentor. But they was, bringing me into the streets. They wasn't telling me to, Dante, go to school, pursue your motocross, races. They never said all that. They was putting me into the streets. But I think for us to get better and to reach the youth, even inside of prison and juvenile halls, they need more of people like us that been through it, and show them that, hey, this is what the selling drugs and the toting guns, this is what it leads to. This is what it leads to. This is the path you're going down. And then we have to also take it deeper than that, because a lot of times, we don't think about the people that we hurt when we are committing these crimes. Our family members, our loved ones, our mothers, our daddies, our sisters, everybody's affected by the things that we do. So if we would have more guys like us, especially guys that's getting out of prison, and be, a mentor to these kids and these youngsters out here, because it's really needed, and also allow us to come back into juvenile halls, into prisons, and tell our story and let them know that, hey, it's a different way to live your life, to be better. You don't have to sell drugs, to live, get a job. I mean, I got out of prison from nothing. I mean, 2 years after I was out, I bought my own house. So I'm saying this, and believe me when I say this, if I can change, anybody in the world can change. But we want to catch them before they do something drastic to wind up in prison. Because I did something drastic. I took 2 people's lives and injured 2 people and destroyed their family, destroyed my family. But I got it together. But if we can reach them before they get to that point where they don't have to go down that road, because there's too many of us young Black guys are in prison. Young Latinos are in prison. I mean, the prison outnumbered the Blacks and the Latinos. We outnumber the prisons. So it's going to take more of us to do the work.
I want to add something to that. In regards to recidivism, like everyone said, Patrick, well as Dante, and absolutely, it takes a community to wrap their arms around each other, around our kids. And when we don't want to wrap our arms around them without giving them the love what they need. Because a lot of us lack love. We don't understand love. Because if we have love and understood what love was, then how can love hurt anybody? So we didn't understand love. That's why it was easy for us to hurt somebody, to act impulsively doing things without thinking about the consequences. And in order for us to understand the consequences of anything that we have done or what began to do, first of all, we'd have had to stop and think. We didn't have those barriers to get in our way to say, hold on, buddy, either uncle, daddy. My daddy was in prison. I haven't seen him since 1979. So that played so when we talk about mental health, that played a major effect on my psyche. Because here I am, a little boy, looking up to my dad, whether or not how good I knew him. But the kid are always going to be attached to their parents. So here I was, a young kid, addicted to the street life, moving fast, but also hearing about the things that my father was doing. So naturally, I wanted to end up and be like him, not knowing that wasn't the right thing to do, not knowing or not having the proper people to get in between that and say, hey, nah, stay in school, going to baseball practice. We're gonna come to your games and be there as moral support and just support to show that love. And that's what we're missing out here. Inside these systems, real, genuine love. And who we are men now who understand love, compassion, empathy. Because like Dante said, when you have a calling for something, our calling is from God, nothing else. So once God put that love and that empathy in your heart to understand it, that you have done wrong and hurt others, the natural thing for us to do now is to do and perpetrate and understand the impact and effects that we had on others. And that's what we're doing today.
Thank you for that. That was a really great answer. And thank you, Nia, for asking. I do want to, like, y'all feel free to ask questions and comments and thoughts and things of that sort. So DeMonte, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to first of all commend you all just for being brave and just vulnerable and just being able to share your experiences and your story. As y'all were talking, it sounded all too familiar, not only with your ties to the Bay Area. I'm born in the Bay Area, myself was born in Vallejo. So again, just hearing your experience, it sounds oddly familiar, or all too familiar, just with a lot of my own family's experiences in the criminal system and just being in and out of jail and just different recidivism rates. I don't want to speak for the group or anything like that, but I would definitely love, personally, if we did some sort of like mental health project where we are going into just juvenile facilities and just trying to like connect with the youth and kind of just meet them where they're at. Like you're saying, like there is that lack of love. And when you had said, and what really has stood out to me is just, we don't, everyone doesn't have that support there, or doesn't always blessed to have a support system or that foundation, which is always something I always preach to like my friends or my homies back in that I know where I'm from. And you have to just speak life into them. I definitely am a proponent for that. So if we definitely did something in the future with 100 years, definitely would love to be a part of that idea. But I mean, we'll speak, we'll talk more about that. Yeah.
Can I say something to you?
Oh, go ahead, and then I'll add. Go ahead.
I just want to say something to you, man. It's very empowering to see you in college. Like I said, I didn't make it there.
He has his master's. I want to throw that in there. He has his master's.
Okay, well, that's it. So now here we go. When we talk about a community, right? We got to do our part, and you got to do your part. See what I mean? We failed, but we got back up. And now we back doing the positive things and reinforcing who we are. We back to our authentic selves. You know what I mean? We back to our authentic selves. We know better, so now we're going to do better. And we're going to show you better than we can tell you. That's the old saying. So we live by that now. There's no margin for error. So now I'm looking at you saying, man, that's where I should have been. So I would love to rub shoulders with you and encourage you like you encourage me. I'm proud of you like you proud of me. And it's a mutual understanding. And we got to push like that because we got to be examples to others, right? You know what I mean? Particularly black men, brown men, so we can understand that, look, man, we losing ourselves at an alarming rate. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a blessing for me to be alive to even deliver the message because I didn't have to be. I could have been still incarcerated, or I could have been one of them young black men that got killed in the streets. That's how I was moving. So and my breath is a blessing. And now I need to take advantage of that blessing and do what's right by it, so I could be favored by God, because I know that's what's moving me to this calling. So I just want to let you know, man, I appreciate, what you're doing, and I'm proud of you, man, because I can see an image of myself, doing a positive thing as a young man. We learn so much from you guys as well. So it's very empowering to see you guys continue to move forward, man. And that's what because you guys are the next leaders of the world. So, it's a blessing. You need to hear that too. You need to pat yourself on the back sometime because you're in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. You can't beat that.
That was great. I mean, we're all super proud of everybody who's in here. Thank you for even saying that. And DeMonte, did you want to say anything before I go on?
I mean, yes, but I mean, I'm at a loss for words, really. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of just thinking about like people that I know, people that I kind of came up with. And just kind of just like, but everything to y'all, what you said, man, you speak in power. And like I said, we'll talk. We'll talk, man. Definitely happy to work with you, for sure.
Yeah, and so to give more context about our collaboration, essentially Solano County, which is the county that I live in and where we're technically registered in, their juvenile hall is actually very interested in our Hubs of Healing program. And so that's why 100 Years is brought into it, why we're like doing work in that space, because a lot of the work that we're doing has been with at-risk youth or with troubled youth. And so now we want to physically go into juvenile hall to do the work there to start helping them with identifying triggers and learning about mental health and just, doing a lot of work that should have been done for them ahead of time, but now trying to help them so they can be like these three when they get out and start fresh and start over and want to make a difference. And so super excited for that project. Not too much details yet. The meeting hasn't happened with the people who run the youth center and juvenile hall, but once it happens, of course, y'all will be updated. But that's where this partnership is coming. But I really wanted everybody to meet 100 Years so y'all can see like where it's coming from, why it's important, and why this all matters, of course, because at the end of the day, it comes down to mental health and like the impact that our environment can have on us. And so that's where we really fit into this space. With a couple of more minutes left, probably about 10 more. Anybody else have a question? Any other thoughts or any input?
I have a question. What would you all say is like the most important, I guess, mental health tool that you learned in the time that you spent there? Whether that's, I think somebody talked about kind of being able to like reclaim your thoughts, things like that. But like what would you say is like the most important tool that you still carry with you?
I can answer that. I think for me, the most important tool to understand and to regain and to keep your sanity, especially going through situations like that, is insight. To have a deep understanding of who you are. That's it. To gauge, do that constant introspection, that reflection of who you are. Because oftentimes we get lost of trying to create a whole new identity with not us. And it leads to different things, different circumstances and situations. So once we continue to have that insight, that deep understanding, to dig deep and to tear down the walls of vulnerability and say, hey, this is who I am. I don't have to hide no matter what anyone say or thinks about me. This is who I am as a human being. And that's what we got to get back to, our natural selves, our natural disposition, what God put inside of us, that true insight. That's what I can give you. And give yourself.
Yeah, I agree with what Fahim just said, because we have to, even just for myself, to understand who I am, you have to be able to look in the mirror at yourself. And that's what I do every day, look in the mirror at myself. And I'm pleased with who I see on the reflection. We have to carry that with us, because if you don't, we can get lost mentally. And like he said, we can be doing different other things that's detrimental to our health. That can be detrimental to other people's health as well too. So, and be honest with yourself, because a lot of us don't want to be honest with ourselves. And that's, and for me, I had to get honest with myself, because I was, going through some things, being in prison, have suicidal thoughts, all kind of different, thoughts that goes on, especially when you're constantly being told you're never getting out. So, but one has to be willing to not even on this side, I'm still, able to look at myself, I'm who I am, and I'm satisfied with who I am. So you must definitely have to carry that with you. And, because if you can't figure out who you is, you will get lost up here.
Can I just add one more thing to that, to say, the biggest thing that I had to do, personally speaking, was forgive myself. Once I got back to my authentic self and realized that I made a tragic mistake, I hurted somebody, and I really hurt myself as well, I had to forgive so I can go and live. Because if I can't forgive myself, then I can't make proper amends. And if I can't make proper amends, then I can't give back who I truly am, because I haven't forgave myself. And then once I learned to do that, then I can go on and do what I'm supposed to do what I know to do. So with that being said, man, like you said, I got to know that, because they say it's a concept saying, he that knows himself knows his Lord. So if you don't know yourself, you can't properly worship your God. because you don't know yourself. You know what I mean? So all that has to run congruent with your life and your lifestyle and who you associate yourself with, right? So once you forgive yourself, you understand that we're going to make mistakes, you know what I mean? But your intent is not to hurt nobody. Your intent is not to do wrong. Your intent, all these things come out of you. You know what I mean? So, you know, great question. So I would say you have to learn to forgive yourself and then move on with your life.
That was really powerful. And when you were saying that whole thing about intent, it reminds me of like the intent versus impact. Like the intention may not have been to hurt somebody, but then the impact was like somebody was hurt at the end of the day. And that's how it was felt and interpreted by them. So definitely, like you said, just forgiving yourself and just growing and being a better person like you all have now done. Is you recognize the harm you did, you served your time, and now you're ready to make a difference. With that, one more question from anybody. Anyone else have a comment, thoughts, anything you want to say? Go ahead, Donya.
I was just going to say thank you all for your time. It's been amazing to hear your stories and the strength that you guys have had through your experiences. I definitely get a sense of you all are wounded healers as you continue to touch your communities. And I can definitely hear you guys talking about, rather than having safety net services, more of a blanket of care to touch people before they get into those situations. So I just want to thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all so much for sharing. And like I said, I'm excited for this year with you all and to be collaborating in this space. And I'm so glad that like the other members of the group got to meet you guys. So if you all want to come off mute and just thank them and
everything, and then we'll wrap up. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah. Of course.
It's a pleasure and honor to be here talking to you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. So with
and one more thing I want to tell you guys, I am proud of you guys. Y'all in college.
Yes, we have college people, we have grads, we got all of it here. So super proud of everybody. But thank you, and thank everybody for coming on for our first meeting of the year. We will be having more guest speakers at all of our general meetings. We'll make that a habit to do. But yeah, super glad. Like I said, this is the beginning of a collaboration with them. It started last year. You may have seen them on our social media a little bit, but now you know why. This is what's been coming up and what we're planning on doing. So if you have interest in the Juvenile Hall project or anything like that, let me know. If we do any meetings virtually, you guys are welcome to join. I will put that in the chat if you express interest and wanted to be involved in that. But yeah, this was a super great meeting. Had a lot of fun in the beginning, got our stuff handled, and then heard some inspirational stuff today. So any other thoughts or anything, just let me know, message me on Slack. But have an amazing rest of your night, you all, and make sure you're going to your team meeting.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.